I need to record it as well. Cool. Awesome, 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 guys. I appreciate you. I really, really do. All right. So if we have any beginners on this call, let me go ahead and actually share my screen so you guys can see. And then let's go ahead and turn off my camera because my face is not important when it comes down to making money using this strategy. Now, if you guys do not know, I do have a YouTube channel. On this YouTube channel, I have a couple of resources that are at your disposal for you guys. So what I'm gonna go ahead and do is type this in the chat real quick. So if you guys can please bookmark that, save that, just have it. Now, if you guys are new to Sensei or even the Harmonic Scanner, I have 2 videos. Now on the very right side, you're gonna see Sensei Indicator Setup. It's 13 minutes long, and Sensei Confirmation. So it is a 2-part video to actually set up the strategy to have it looking like this. And then there's another video so that you can understand what the confirmations mean and how we can be on the right side, whether the markets are going to buy or sell, whether the markets are going up or down, bull or bear. Now, for those that are new, if you guys do not know how to get to the Harmonic Scanner, you simply want to log in to im.center. You use your username and password. Now, as soon as you log in, it is going to go ahead and open up like the main hub and everything. Now, as soon as it loads, on the bottom left side, we go to strategies. As soon as we go to strategies, we scroll down just a bit and we're going to see harmonics. Now, harmonics is the one that is actually available when you guys get the FRX package. So use this, leverage this concept, leverage this tool in the vehicle that we have so that then, hey, we can start learning and earning at the exact same time. So as soon as you press up that link, it's automatically going to open up the Harmonic Scanner. Now, naturally, the scanner does look like this, but when you end up having all of the indicators, you press this drop-down bar, load chart layout. I labeled mine as Sensei, some of them Sensei Strategy, Sensei the Fam. Shout out to each and every one of you on this call. And then here we have our scanner. Now, real quick, we had 2 trades play out just this morning. Shout out to my homegirl, Heavenly. She called out one of them. And last night I was paying attention to another specific one. So if you guys did take advantage of this strategy within the past 24 hours, we would be up about 80 pips. Now, we do notice on the right side, there's a lot of different brokers that we can use. Personally, I like to use FX Choice. If you guys watch Manny Quinones on Go Live, he does say that FX Choice and HOT Forex are actually the brokers that he prefers to use for the sole purpose that they are not only profitable, but there's a lot of different scanners that end up coming out that we can leverage. So we have a lot of different trade ideas that we can look at and then see which one's good, see which one's not. Because at the end of the day, trading is the transfer of wealth from the impatient to the patient. So if you're patient enough to take that trade, then you'll make profit. But if you're impatient and you want money fast, well, more than likely, you're going to be on the wrong end of the stick. Now, right here, I go with FX Choice. Now, when it comes down to the Sensei strategy, I really do prefer the 30-minute and the 1-hour time frame. That's what I like to stick to most. 30-minute, I love the most, honestly, just because I get new trade ideas. Because when a new candle opens, or at the end of the 30 minutes, or if you're on the hour time frame at the end of the hour, then a new candle opens, and what that means is that there's a new scanner that can come up. There can be a new signal on the Harmonic scanner itself. Now, real quick, if anyone caught AUD CAD or Euro USD on the sell, drop some 5s in the chat. Drop some 5s in the chat if you had sold AUD CAD last night, this morning, and Euro USD. I just want to see who caught some bags on here. Shout out Shane. Shout out Mel, Heavenly. I know Shane's killing it. If you guys don't know who Shane is, yo, this individual right here works full time, almost 10 hours a day doing car sales, and he's using the product, and he's been able to come up on an extra 4 figures in a month. Shout out to you, bro. Now, real quick, let's go over one of the trades that happened and played out last night. So last night on the 1-hour time frame, and we go to AUD CAD, which is going to be a little bit down here. Now let me actually go ahead and delete this so that you guys can see it just as I see it. Most definitely. Let me go ahead and pull this up real quick. All right, bet. So on AUD right here, sometimes guys, this is a little trick. Sometimes you press that delete button and the scanner ends up disappearing. If you simply just go from one pair to another, then the scanner ends up coming back. Now, focusing specifically on the chart, if you notice, we had our sell point up here, price ended up falling, and we had our different levels of take profit. Now, if you guys do not know what the harmonic is, I would highly recommend watching Manny Quinones, going on the academy section of IM.Center and really just plugging into all the information that's available, because myself, and other individuals who teach, we really are here to really further the foundation as far as the education, so that then you guys can, continue being profitable or become profitable in the future. Now, when it comes down to it, last night, me and a friend, we were looking at the scanner, and the area that we were paying attention to last night was right around here. Now, the thing is, guys, with the Sensei strategy, because it is a momentum catching strategy, we only want to trade pairs that are in session. Now, if you guys don't know what pairs that are in session, let me actually send you this super cool website right here. It's called Forex Market Hours. I would highly, highly recommend to get out a little index card and actually just simply copy and paste what sessions, what time they open, and what time they close. Now, this is in my time zone. I am from El Paso, Texas. Shout out the 915. But I am also going to go ahead and type it in the chat, most definitely. Let's get it, guys. So obviously right now, Sydney and Tokyo session are open. Personally, I enjoy the scanner. During New York session and London session, that's when I find more volatility. That's when I find more successful trades. But that doesn't mean that Sydney and Tokyo session are completely invalid. We can find some trades during some volatility, sometimes, and some time of volatility. Now, when it comes back down, going back to the scanner, make sure you guys do save often. If you guys don't save often, you leave the tab for too long, it could refresh on you. And I have already felt the pain of it. Now, just going back real quick. So I think it was this one. Yeah. All right, bet. I have two scanners opened up. So last night, me and a friend, we were looking at AUD CAD right here in this little box where that highlighted zone. Now, when it comes down to the confirmations, we want to do them in a chronological order, which means if the first one doesn't match up, then don't look for the second one yet. We want to follow them step by step. Now, the first indicator that we're looking at is simply that turquoise line that you see that's very close to the candles, and in the red line that's a little bit further away from the candles. Now, because this harmonic scanner is looking for a sell, we simply want to look for a crossing of the turquoise to the downside. So inside this box, we're looking for the turquoise line to cross to the downside. And where does that happen? It happens right around here. Now, the thing is, with it being around here, the crossing actually took place right at that moment. So it wasn't really confirmed because it was iffy. It was 50-50. The turquoise line was barely crossing. It wasn't 100% there. So if you guys are taking notes, which I highly recommend, and even draw these pictures if you need to, because it is very visual when it comes down to learning. But the candle after the cross is our confirmation. So because the cross happened right here at this candle, we move our confirmation line one candle over, and that's where our confirmation lies. Because remember, guys, the candle after the cross equals our confirmation. So that's our confirmation right there. Now, the next thing we're going to look for is literally the RSI, the momentum, and the money flow indicator. Simply what we're looking for is a cross to either side, either the top side or the downside, because do pay attention that the top side simply means buyers are in control of the market. And then the bottom side simply means that sellers are in control of the market. So it's almost like a tug of war match. Understanding Sensei is like a tug of war match. Who has more control, the sellers or the buyers? Now, because we're looking for sell confirmations, we wanted all these indicators to go to the bottom. So I was like, cool. Last night we had looked at this trade and, just kind of following my vertical line, we noticed just kind of like pressing on here and zooming in. Right here where that blue vertical line is, we noticed that the red indicator, yes, it is at the bottom, but the green and the pink haven't fully crossed yet. Now remember, guys, the candle after the cross is a confirmation. So by simply moving it over one time, that's how we ended up discovering our confirmation. Now with the DMI, guys, one thing I would highly recommend, if you grab a horizontal line, go to the settings, go to coordinates. So grab the horizontal line, settings, coordinates, go ahead and place it at 20. And I'm gonna make it a little bit thicker just so you guys can see it. Go ahead and do this, coordinates 20, cool. And then just kind of double pressing on it. Now we're looking at the confirmation to be roughly in the exact same area. Now, right here, the confirmation, placing my vertical line right here. Yeah, so placing my vertical line right here, simply what we're looking for inside this confirmation, if you guys do not already know, we're looking for two things. We notice that we have that blue squiggly line and that red squiggly line. Now, because it's a sell, we simply need red to be above blue. So I was like, cool. Now, if we look in this area, hey, red is above blue. That's cool. Now, the second part of this confirmation is that this taller black squiggly line, known as the ADX line, it needs to be above 20. So that's why we actually grab the horizontal line. We put the coordinates at 20 so that then we can find out where both of those, that 50-50 confirmation takes place to make it 100% valid. And that's where it ended up taking place. Now, we saw this develop last night and we were like, cool, it was like 9 o'clock at night. You know, I started to realize what time, 2100. I'm assuming, yeah, so it was like 8:30. Yeah, so that's like 8 o'clock at night. Now, we notice this confirmation right here because the last thing we look for is the MACD. Now, because it's a selling confirmation, what we're looking for is the red MACD to be in the bottom portion. So essentially, if it is a selling harmonic scanner, it's a selling signal, we only focus on the red MACD. Now, if it's a buying signal, we only focus on the green MACD. So essentially, where is it that the red MACD ends up going inside of its own territory being the bottom half? Well, if we notice right here, it's still on the top side. Right here, it's still on the bottom side. Right here, it's definitely on the lower side. Now, even then, I did take this trade last night, but the thing is that sometimes with Sensei, there isn't enough momentum. It catches it enough, but it wasn't ready. And the thing that caught my eye that I was a little iffy about was the Ichimoku cloud that we see right here. Now, if you guys do not already know, the Ichimoku cloud is the green and the red kind of cloud looking thing that is very vertical or horizontal at sometimes. Essentially, it acts as a support and resistance. Now, if we notice right here, we had a lot of wicks right here. We had a lot of wicks, but they didn't so really get close to the cloud. But then eventually we ended up having that candle come down to that cloud. So I did end up taking this trade. I didn't have a stop loss. I was paying attention to it closely. And then as soon as midnight hit, which basically if I go right here to my Forex market time zone converter, as soon as midnight hit, basically saying Sydney session was no longer valid, I looked at the trade, I noticed that I was negative, and I was like, hey, there's not enough momentum yet. Let me go ahead and exit out the trade. Let me go ahead and take that loss. Let me come back at it later. So I was like, cool. And surprisingly enough, well, not surprisingly, but just as we had assumed, price ended up going up in the reverse side a good 30 pips. So that was 30 pips that I didn't have to face a drawdown because I understood that there wasn't enough momentum and the little practice with the Ichimoku clouds, really having them represent support and resistance. Now, the thing is that when price ended up going to this top side, we had a re-entry earlier this morning, right at the end of London session. Now, if we look at AUD CAD, guys, AUD is a Sydney pair. AUD is the Australian dollar. Now, CAD is a Canadian dollar, which basically means it's in the New York session. So when New York session opens, there's more volatility in the market. Now, the best way I like to describe how volatility works inside these markets is like, remember in middle school, you know, the lunch bell would ring and everyone would flood the cafeteria. So as soon as the market opens, you have that flush of orders. There's a lot of people buying and selling different contracts or different stocks or exchanging different kinds of currency, or there's new information being introduced inside these markets. So it's just the exact same thing. That's why we tell you to trade inside session, because there's more volatility where we can simply catch a couple layups using this strategy. Now, guys, drop some sevens in the chat real quick if that makes sense, just to make sure everyone's on the same page. I don't really want to move too fast, but I do want to move efficiently. Awesome. Shout out Corey. Shout out Lorraine, Bobby C. Awesome. Cool. Now, guys, we ended up having an opportunity of re-entry right here. So if we look, price ended up having a reconfirmation of the indicators in this area right here that I have highlighted. Now, the first thing that we're looking for, because this harmonic scanner is a sell, we're looking for that turquoise line to cross below the red line. Now, where does that happen? Well, if I grab my blue vertical line, we'll go ahead and delete this real quick. We notice that the turquoise is still above the red line, so that doesn't count. I move to the next candle afterwards. Hey, the turquoise line is now below the red line as well. So I was like, cool, that's my confirmation right there. I like that. Let's go ahead and go for the next confirmation. Now, the next thing that we're looking at is the RSI momentum money flow indicator. We're basically looking in the exact same area that our first indication came up that said, hey, there could be, and there in quite could be some volatility within the market. Now, the next thing we're looking for is basically that separation between the buyers and the sellers, who's in control within the RSI, the momentum, the money flow indicator. Now, if I place my vertical line right here, we notice that, hey, you know, they're kind of on the bottom, like this green one is the only one that's iffy. But if we go to the next place, it's like, yo, this is way more solid. Like, this is like, say, you know, for my guys, say like you spot a girl at a restaurant and you're like, hey, she's kind of cute. And then like you're with your homeboy and he's like, he goes up to the girl and he's like, hey, like my boy thinks you're cute. And she's like, oh, I think he's cute too. That gives you more of some confidence to really be like, oh, let me go up to this girl, let me go talk to her. So by really seeing that solid confirmation within these indicators, that gives you more confidence to really be like, hey, I am right. These markets are really going in this direction now. So just kind of going back, if we notice where that solid confirmation lied, it also lied where our EMAs begin to switch sides. Now, if we look at our DMI right here, basically what we're looking for is the cross, the separation between the red and the blue line. Now, because we want sellers in control, we want red to be above blue. And it's loud. My fault. They're doing construction outside. Hashtag big moves. But we're looking for the red line to be above the blue line. At the same time, the black line known as the ADX. So I'm going to just call it the ADX from now on. You guys get confused, just, you know, someone answer in the chat box. Now, the ADX line, we need it to be above 20. Now, where does that end up happening? Let me go ahead and grab my blue vertical line. I'm going to just place it right there. Now, if we notice, that is where the crossing happened, but the ADX line is still below 20. Now, if you guys do not know, the ADX line is simply saying how much momentum and volatility is in the market. Is there a really big push coming? Is there not so much money being poured into the market to really make it move? Now, if I grab that vertical line and I move it just one candle over, we notice, hey, red is above blue and the ADX line is above 20. So we're like, yo, that's awesome. That's perfect. Now, if we notice, we had our first two confirmations right here sitting at around 8 o'clock this morning. Now, we also want to make sure that all the confirmations are all valid together in the same place. So if I move this blue vertical line just one over to match where all these three are, I notice, hey, red is still above blue, ADX line is still above 20. That is still valid right there. Now, with the last thing that we're looking for is simply the MACD. Now, if we go to the MACD, all we're looking for is the red to be in the bottom portion because this harmonic scanner is essentially calling a sell. Now, if I grab my vertical line and I place it right here, we say, hey, the MACD, yeah, it's at the bottom. It's not 100% there. It's just a little bit, just a little fraction, you know, but even then, if I move my candle one over, I was like, yeah, it's 100% there. Like if you notice that it gave it 2 hours, 2 candles passed by, and it said, hey, the red MACD is in for sure inside the seller's territory. So I'm like, yo, this is awesome. This just gave me more confidence to take this trade. Now, this morning at 11 o'clock a.m., right as soon as London session had closed, we ended up taking this trade. Now, the thing is like a lot of people can get confused on where to actually take this trade. Now, when all your confirmations lined up and they're 100% confident, you're ready to go up and, you know, go talk to that other person or go talk to him or go talk to her. You know, as soon as that confirmation lines up, you take it right before the next candle opens. Because as soon as that next candle opens, we already understand that there's a lot of momentum inside these markets. So when that next candle opens, it could essentially just take off. Sometimes the market doesn't leave without you, but other times you just miss it too many times to really enter. Now, right here, essentially, we had all the indicators line up. We ended up taking the trade right here at this little arrow that I'm going to go ahead and place so you guys can see it. We ended up taking it right at the end of the hour. And then as soon as that new candle had opened, it fell. So we could have taken, now some people may have questions, oh, what's my take profit? You can have your take profit in 15 pip increments. So say you're in profit 15 pips, you put your stop loss to break even, you're in profit 30 pips, you put your stop loss to 15 pips, you're in profit 45 pips, hey, I'm gonna move my stop loss to 30 pips. Or you can simply just use the take profits that are given to you. Now, if you're gonna use the take profits that are given to you, make sure that it is more than 15 pips, no less than 15 pips away from take profit. So if we ended up keeping this trade, some of you guys can still be in profit 30 pips. You guys can be in profit at one point, almost 50 pips, about 45. But for here, I took a measly 25, 30 pips take profit right here. And that was just super quick in and out. Yeah, it took a couple hours, but we didn't really face any drawdown. As soon as we entered, the next candle opened, market took off. So that was a really good example, just as it is with Euro USD. I'm about to pull it up right here. So if we look at Euro USD, the exact same thing happened. First confirmation, we had the turquoise line really cross below, because if we look at the harmonic scanner, it's calling a sell. We notice that the entries on the top side, you have the take profits below. So if the entries above and your targets are below, you're looking for price to fall. So right here, we notice that the turquoise indicator is actually on the bottom side of the red EMA. And at the same time, even with this Ichimoku, guys, so if there's a lot of momentum tapping into the Ichimoku cloud, it can break it, because support and resistance is not always 100% true. Support can get broken and create resistance. Resistance can get broken and create support, but it only breaks when it has a lot of volatility or we get new candles inside of that range. Now, guys, when it comes down, we see that our first indicator lined up right here where my cursor is at, right at 8 o'clock this morning. Euro USD, they are both, if we just kind of look at our time zone converter, Euro USD right here, Euro is London, and then USD is New York session. So they're both open together from 9 a.m. Excuse me. So from 6 a.m. to 9 a.m. So they're both open together for 3 hours, which can cause a lot more volatility. Now, right here at 8 a.m., we had that first confirmation line up. And then we look at our next confirmations, RSI, momentum, money flow indicator, essentially those three colors, the pink, the green, and the red one. We notice right down here, hey, they're all on the bottom half. These sellers are in control of the market. Right here, going to the DMI, hey, red is above blue. The ADX line is above 20. Very, very simple, very straightforward. MACD, because it's a sell, we're looking for the red MACD to be on the bottom portion. Very simple. So they all ended up being valid at the same time. And when that happened, I said, hey, all my confirmations are valid. Let me go ahead and place this trade right before the next candle opens, which we place this trade right here at this black arrow that I have drawn, right at the close of the candle. Next candle opens, price immediately falls. And if you're still in this trade, you're in profit like 54 pips. You could have taken this trade to TP2 and caught a quick 45 pips. Yeah, it took a couple hours, but check it. This is more money that you could make rather than working at a 9 to 5, because you're simply just pressing a button. All you have to do is set it and forget it. When it's going in your way and your stop loss is at break even, you have nothing to worry about. It's literally a risk-free trade. If you lose, hey, you learned. If you won, now you have extra money in your MetaTrader 4. Let's go ahead and let's go pay ourselves, or let's keep compounding it to 6 figures. Now, AUD CAD and Euro USD were two perfectly really nice textbook trades. Now, when it comes down to Euro USD, what I would actually be looking for is, because we broke this green Ichimoku cloud, I would really be expecting a retest. Because guys, write this down. What is fast, it will not last. So when it comes down to it, we had all this money being poured out into the market. Essentially, the market is exhausted. That's why it's not moving anymore. That's why it's so slow. You know, the market cannot go in one direction forever. It's going to have to stop and possibly retest different areas of the market. Now, this is very textbook. If you guys do not know this, I highly recommend to actually go either on educatormannyq.com/go live. I'm gonna repeat that, educatormannyq.com/go live. And then if not, go on the 100 to 200 series to really understand support and resistance inside the academy. So because we broke this green Ichimoku cloud, I would highly expect, and I'm not predicting, I'm expecting, because we just want to react off what the information the market is telling us. We don't want to predict what's going to happen next, because you can simply jump in front of a bull and end up losing that trade. So if we end up seeing price come up right here into this green Ichimoku cloud, I would gladly start looking for my sell confirmations again to then take it down all the way to TP3, because hey, say our confirmation lined up right here in the middle, yo, I can take this to TP3 for an extra 100 pips. Like, who wouldn't want to take that trade? Now, guys, those are two really, really good trade ideas right there. Drop some sevens in the chat if that made perfect sense. If it did not, go ahead and drop some threes in the chat. Let me know. Let me know. Just say, hey, it didn't make sense. I don't really understand. I'm new. Let me know. I want to make sure that everyone's really kind of hopping on everything. All right, awesome. Shout out to you guys. Cool. So there's two pairs that I'm looking at, and let's check them out real quick. It's going to be on the 30-minute, and we have AUDJPY. Now, let's see. Is it AUDJPY? I said AUDJPY. I don't know if this one changed. Oh, yeah, it did change. Let me delete this, and then let me go back to it. AUDJPY. Okay, yeah, most definitely. Because I was looking at the confirmation. I noticed how a couple hours ago it was getting right there. So I was like, yo, the harmonic, it's calling a buy. Like the turquoise CMA, it's getting up there. So I was looking for it. Now, it didn't play in favor. So, hey, that's not something I'm no longer looking for. I usually take a screenshot of my charts and have them on my desktop. Now, I have it paged in a harmonic watch list. The next thing I'm looking at is AUDNZD, which I'm assuming fell as well. Yeah, it did most definitely. So with AUDNZD, notice how we're approaching that red cloud right here. Notice how price is very slow. Within the indicators, there's not really much happening because there's not a lot of volatility. But if we look and we just, for simplistic reasons, say I draw a trend line, we notice that the trend is going up. So if for whatever reason, we can have that impulsive movement to break through this cloud, but when it breaks through this cloud, don't chase the trade. If the confirmations line up and you have enough time, take the trade, of course. But don't chase the trade if the confirmations happened an hour or 2 hours ago. Now, if we end up breaking this cloud, I would highly want to see a retest of the cloud and then a continuation to the upside. So that's what I'm looking at for AUDNZD. Now, very, very quickly, I think EuroCAD has something nice as well. Yeah, so EuroCAD is not in session right now. If we look, London session opens at 1 a.m. Mountain Standard Time, 3 a.m. Eastern, and then like midnight Pacific Standard. So within EuroCAD, I do see some confirmations developing. Now we do notice that price is kind of heading up towards this green Ichimoku, this red Ichimoku cloud. So we could end up seeing those confirmations play out. Today is Wednesday, so today during London, it wouldn't look too bad to really possibly take this trade if the scanner ends up confirming and showing valid, how valid this trade is for that buy opportunity. So if you guys are taking notes, write that down. Hey, EuroCAD, you know, it's looking a little nice. We're just checking it out. Let's check out GBP NZD. So with this one, I'm actually expecting GBP NZD to see if we can fall. I'm not 100% sure. Now, we just want to pay attention to it. Still go up, still went up. Let me go ahead and grab my cursor. Yeah. So if we look at GBP NZD with the confirmations, hey, RSI, momentum, money flow, we need all of those to be the top side. If we notice right here on the DMI, blue is above red, which is good because we're looking for those buy confirmations. But the thing is it above 20? Okay, so the ADX line is above 20. Cool. So hey, GBP NZD could be a trade, a pair that we can possibly trade. Now, taking into consideration that price is looking like it's retracing, we just had this very big impulsive movement to the downside. So we could end up possibly having another impulsive movement to the downside If you guys follow a very simple corrections class inside the academy, you can really tie in market structure to the sensei strategy to essentially improve what it is that you're looking at to really help. But very, very simplistic stuff. It's not easy. It's not hard. It's just extremely simple. Let's check out NZD USD. I think this one played out for a sell opportunity as well. Shout out to the boy Kobe Watson. He actually caught this trade. Now, if we look at it, NZD USD, we ended up having this confirmation right here. This was at, what time was this at? 7:38 a.m., somewhere around there. Let's go ahead and check it. Okay, but yeah, so NZD USD sell confirmation. So last night or early this morning, we had a lot of US pairs trade out. So we had a confirmation there. I'm going to make this blue just so you guys can see this a little bit darker. Right there. So we had that confirmation light right there. We look at RSI, momentum, money flow. We want to see where they're all at the bottom. It lines up with the first one. Okay, cool. Now we look at DMI. We want red to be above blue and the ADX line to be above 20. But at the same time, we also want to make sure that all the confirmations are all valid together. Because if we get 3 out of 4 confirmations and you're like, oh, well, that last one, it was confirmed like 3 hours ago. It's not confirmed right now. It doesn't matter if it was confirmed 3 hours ago. It was previous information. It's not current information. So we wanted to play off that current information. Now, if we look at the MACD, essentially what we're looking for is a red MACD to cross below to the bottom side, which we end up seeing right around here. Now, because this confirmation lied about 3 hours in advance between all the previous ones, we just want to make sure that they're all still valid. So if we look at the DMI, hey, red is still above blue at that last part. Hey, all of the indicators are still at that lower half. Hey, that crossing is still to the downside. So this would have been a really good area to take the trade roughly in this area. Watch the confirmation, see how they play out. If you look at how the if you look at how the indicators move when the candle closes, it gives you a lot of information, guys. It gives you a lot of information that you can really play out, that you can really develop and really test it. NZD USD is currently in profit, 53 pips. You got to take it down to TP2 for a good 35 pips. So this is when it really comes down to all the indicators just lining up. Now let's see, AUD, NZD, we already talked about. NZD CAD, this one could possibly be falling again. Personally, guys, I don't really find any good trades anymore during Sydney session. Usually around Sydney session, I take my time to really connect with the squad and everything like that. But the mornings are for me. So, hey, in the morning I trade. In the morning I do personal development. In the morning I look at Sensei. I want to see what's an easy layup, because with Sensei, all you're doing is just catching a bunch of layups. Don't be the individual that wants to go to the half court and just shoot all these balls and miss them. Be the individual who can make a point every single time using that layup. And that's what the Sensei scanner is, or the Sensei strategy is. Using the harmonic scanner plus the Sensei strategy, it really improves your accuracy when it comes down to catching those layups. And now real quick, GBP CAD out of session, it's consolidating right now. Euro USD out of session. Euro AUD, this one kind of already played out. The scanner is probably like way back here. Yeah, this one definitely played out. AUD USD definitely played out. So that's going to be pretty much towards the end of my session, guys. There's not too much to really look out for. Check back later tonight at during London session, right? Check the charts 30-45 minutes before London session. See what trades that you can end up placing during London session. Keep a close eye on them. Now, the thing is, guys, if you end up placing a trade, you want to keep a little bit of an eye on it, because you don't want to go to sleep and wake up 20 minutes later and be like, let me go and check my MetaTrader 4. Let me go and do this. You don't want to give yourself anxiety. You want to make sure that trading is easy, it's fun, it's efficient, it's smooth. We don't want to give ourselves all this stress when it really comes down to it. But guys, that's going to be pretty much towards the end of my session. I appreciate each and every single one of you for hopping on as usual. We had a really great crowd today. I'll be here next Wednesday. We'll look at these charts as well. We're going to really start moving with a lot of efficiency. If you guys can actually just drop my YouTube, or let me actually do it. Let me go ahead and drop my YouTube channel in the, not the description. I'm probably going to post this on YouTube. So let me go ahead and go to the chat box real quick. Sensei the fam. Hey, drop some Sensei the fam inside the chat box. Sensei the fam. Let me go ahead and stop recording.